The secret to winning more games in CFB 26 is simply score more points than your opponent. And there's no better way to do that than to master the 5 secret offensive tips I'm sharing with you in this video. If you want to become unstoppable in offense or simply want to start winning more games, you're not going to miss out on any of the tips that I have for you in this video because they continue to get better and better as we go along. Let's jump right into it. The first thing you're going to need to become unstoppable on offense is a one-play touchdown to force the defense to play scared and open up the rest of the game. Let me show you the best one to use right now. Alright, so this play is going to be clear out FLN from the bunch wide formation here in the Baylor playbook. Alright, so really what we're looking for is to read their coverage. Alright, so if they're going to be in cover 3, right, then what we're going to do, we're going to change it up. We're going to motion this B receiver inside, put him on a shriek. Because essentially what that's going to do is hold this inside third defender in the middle of the field, right? This defender right here, Ramsey. You're going to hold him in the middle of the field and force him to commit to either RB or the B receiver right up the seam. So that's exactly what you're going to see where your quarterback honestly needs to make a better throw right there. You have to pass the ball inside though. So don't get that mistaken right here. I'm going to run the same defense and we're going to, because that's really the thing. You have to be able to pass this ball inside of the inside third. So again, boom, take it, and you're just trying to pass that ball right there. You see how, I mean, it is kind of a tight window though. It is open though, because that's what you're doing. You're holding that defender in the middle of the field, and he's not going to commit because you see how he just pretty much just backpedals to the middle until I throw the ball. Like, literally, I've thrown the ball, and he still hasn't really reacted to it. Now, some would say that this is honestly an even more open throw, which certainly it probably is the case. But, you know, I think that B receiver inside certainly has a little bit of a better chance to actually score a touchdown, right? But it's like, yes, this A receiver right here, I mean, essentially cover 3, we understand. You're just trying to look up the seam. All right, so when they decide to run cover 2, really what you're looking for is a lot of people are just going to use this mid-read defender, as we know, and so they're just going to take him off the field. Right, so they're going to user him, which means they now have that whole responsibility for themselves. And if they don't get all the way back here to defend this fade, obviously it's going to be wide open because we just step up in the pocket, and now you have that pass wide open. Now, if you want to put your outside receiver on like a C route, for example, to occupy that other deep half, so we just go ahead and put them in cover 2 again. You can put him on a C route, occupy that deep path, move him outside, and now that pass is even more open and probably gives you a little bit of a better chance to score on that. Also, though, understand that you still might have this backside dig open, right, if you get shedded. And then, really, once you get into open space in the open field in this game, we understand that you have the ability to speed boost away from defenders. So, essentially, with this play, you're creating an everything beater. I mean, yeah, you're really creating an everything beater because it really doesn't matter the coverage that they run. You're just making the read. You can have that drag open if you want it, and you can have your backside dig. But essentially with this play, man coverage, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, you have guys open, and you especially have a one-play touchdown against cover 3, whether you're looking up the seam or you're looking to one of your fades. All right, having a one-play touchdown is fantastic, but if you're not using the best offensive settings, your passes could be inaccurate, your blocking could suck, or you could be getting screamed at all game for easy sacks. Let me show you the best settings to use right now. Alright, so offensive settings is something that doesn't really get talked about a whole lot. What are the best offensive coaching adjustments to use? Alright, so tempo adjustment, I mean, this is going to just kind of depend on what you want to do. You could turn this to no huddle. Obviously you have the pros and cons here. Turbo, really, I think that's automatic no huddle. But like then you have chew clock, you have normal. So I wouldn't really touch this. I normally just no huddle if I want to. And then spike if I want, or I guess you can't really. I don't think you can spike in this game because it's college. But you just normally just want to leave this on normal for the most part. That was not that important. Deep pass catching though, again, something else I wouldn't really touch because anytime I'm on offense, I'm always going to control my receiver as he's coming back to the ball or when the ball's in the air. So I'm going to tell him which kind of catch modifier to use, whether it's an aggressive catch, whether it's a conservative catch. So I don't use this, because you're just going to control that for yourself. Same thing here with intermediate pass catching. I'm just going to control whether I want to do a rack, an aggressive, or possession catch. Now, these are probably the 3 that everyone wants to kind of know about and doesn't quite understand. Blocking. Please make sure you never turn your blocking on aggressive, and do not turn it on conservative either, because you don't need to use conservative. Conservative is just balance. They're like the same thing. But when you turn on aggressive, that you're going to get caught for holding penalties. I would say like 40% of the time, if not more. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous how often you get caught for holding penalties. And I don't even believe it makes your blocking better, because when you get called for a penalty, that negates all of the positives, right? And there's never penalties in this game. Like, this game on competitive gameplay, there's no penalties, so you don't need extra penalties, you don't need extra blocking, right? Just throw the ball faster. Like, don't even touch that. Auto base protection, right? So this is kind of the one I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to come back to it. But ball carrier, this is kind of a myth in this game. You could still fumble on conservative. I've done it many times this year. You can still fumble conservative. It's not like previous years where, oh, just put your ball carrier in conservative, you never fumble. No. If you put your ball carrier on conservative, you can still fumble. And if you obviously put it on aggressive, you're certainly going to fumble. My goodness. Yeah, you will certainly. If you get hit stick on aggressive, you have a high chance to fumble. But so I would just normally just leave it on balance. If you need to, I'll show you right here. If you need to like cover the ball up in an end of a game situation, make sure you're holding RB. You see how he's holding the ball, like it's kind of tucked. If you hold RB, you will never fumble. It's a 0% chance you will never fumble when you're holding RB like this. Now, obviously, you have an opportunity to break off a big run. You take it. But it's like when you run up to a defender, right? Boom, and then, I mean, obviously I'm in the clear right now, but like, and so I could never, like, you could never fumble from behind. But if you're like running right up to a defender and you're scared of like getting hit stick, for example, right? You're scared of getting hit stick, then like right there, that's when I hold RB. And so if you're holding RB before they hit stick you, you can't fumble. So really that's how I would negate the fumble chances that you have. I wouldn't necessarily turn my ball carrier in conservative because you can still fumble. But auto versus base pass protection here. When you're calling pass plays, you want to make sure that you're starting out in base protection, because as you're going to see, when they call 4-man rushes like this, it's just going to make it a whole lot easier for you to block, because EA won't randomly half slide your offensive line in one direction. You see how right here they're overloading us on the right side? There's 4 guys on that side. What if they now blitz their inside linebacker to create that 5th rusher on that side? Well, what's going to happen is if you let EA full slide your line in one direction, now, I mean, I would imagine these guys would just come in free, right? A guy just comes in free. And here's the thing. You don't necessarily know what plays EA is going to half slide or full slide your line if you turn the setting off. So that's why you need to make sure you have it on base protection. But here's the thing. If they call, like, they spread their defensive line, they call, like, maybe the Texas 4-man, I guess. No, do I have it? Yeah, they call it Texas 4-man custom stunt, right? They have a much better opportunity just walking your backfield free if you're using if you're using base protection. Now, this isn't exactly the greatest custom stunt formation, but if you guys come to single mug, for example, and you play against this, they're in single mode, you're using base protection, you're going to get screamed at all game. So make sure you're using empty protection in that situation. But those are the best coaching adjustments that you need to be using. You need to make sure that you have, all of those, settings that I told you about. And then make sure instead of turning your ball carrier in conservative, you instead just hold RB to cover the ball, when you're about to get tackled if you're afraid of getting hit stick. But then also making sure you're using auto base protection on base against standard rushes, and then it on empty when you're playing against custom stunts or heavy blitzes up the A gap. Alright, so if you've enjoyed those first 2 tips here in this video, again, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. I break down tips and tricks just like this every single day on CFB 26, and you're absolutely not going to miss out on any of them. But if you want all 5 of these tips I'm sharing with you in this video in written form for you to save on your phone during gameplay, go to the link down below in the pinned comment, join CFB University, where you're going to get your first month for only $1. You get premium access to Ask Me Questions in Discord and so much more of my written breakdowns that you can save on your phone during gameplay. Don't let $1 be the reason you're still struggling to win games in CFB 26. So what are you thinking? Go to the link down below in the pinned comment, join CFB University today. But let's jump right back in the video, because that next tip that I want to share with you is one that's going to make your offense super easy. Let me show you a super toxic cheese play that you need to start abusing right now. Alright, so that play is going to be halfback direct snap from Y off trips. This plays in the USC playbook, then some other ones, maybe Oklahoma State or something like that, but it's best from the USC playbook. But really all you're trying to do is, this is just a run where you're just going to get downhill. As I've talked about before, it's like you want to also make sure that you have a guy that can hopefully speed boost, right? This number 30 guy, he's not the most elusive. Although right here, that should have been a touchdown if he could boost, right? But it's like, you're just going to try to get downhill, get to the second level of the defense way faster, right? It's like, you see what happens when you put a guy who can actually like turn and cut and boost, right? And so you're just trying to get to the second level of the defense. That's really when the big runs pop. Right, that's when you start to see those huge 30, 40-yard carries once you get to the second level of the defense. And there's no play in this game, run play at least, that makes this as easy, because essentially, you're just going to be able to, get, like I said, get to the second level, cut, and then speed boost, and you're just able to turn that into a big gain. So mastering the speed boost really is the most important part with this. It's a huge skill gap in this game, and you need to get better with it. So again, it's holding right trigger, then aiming the left stick where you want to run, and then you're going to be tapping the left trigger. So boom, we're going to try to cut it up. Sometimes you want to go all the way out to the edge. Sometimes you want to try to cut back, especially when you have a guy who's super agile and can get through those gaps. Essentially, the speed boost just allows you to get to your spots faster as the ball carrier, right? And so you're just able to see it again right there. You can combine this with other moves too, especially if you have like 360 or something like on your ball carrier. You can, spin, you can juke, you can do a lot of different things. But you get this man to come down, and if they play good run defense, credit to them. But that's why you have a run where you're gonna have a great average, right? You could probably just call this 4 straight times and pretty easily pick up a first down. Right here, I just see that cutback lane open, and of course I bump into 2 guys. So it's really just about reading the play, picking your gaps. Certain run looks are going to be a little bit more enticing for you, just trying to make guys miss after the catch, obviously. It's important to have plays like this, though, in your arsenal, in your offensive bag, because you don't want to be passing the ball every time in this game. There's really no reason to, with how good the run is this year. It's not necessarily as easy maybe as it was last year, but it's still very easy with how the speed boost is. That's the meta. The meta is the speed boost, and so once you can master that and get pretty good with it, you combine it with runs like this, as long as you're not running into your own players. But it's like, you're just going to be able to pick up huge gains out on the edge, right? Get that block, and then you're just able to turn that into a big gain. So really, bottom line here, you want to have plays that can make offense really easy, and there's not a whole lot better than halfback direct snap in this game, especially when you have elusive ball carriers that can speed boost away from defenders. You're going to be making offense super easy. Alright, before I jump into those final 2 tips, again, I want to remind you, go down below, hit that subscribe button. You're absolutely not going to miss out on any of the content I have, because I'm the only one right now breaking down college football 26 tips every single day for you guys. So what are you thinking? Go down below, hit that subscribe button, and let me show you the final 2 tips. Alright, and this next one is one that not enough people truly understand. BLT, how do I go about beating match coverage consistently? Let me show you exactly how to do that. Alright, so when I'm talking about beating match coverage, there's certainly ways to beat match coverage in every single formation in this game. But I honestly think when you run 2x2 formations, that's when match coverage is honestly the worst. Because essentially what you're able to do is force these guys to commit to routes and then run a different route behind them. Not to mention mesh concepts are very good. What you're going to see is I'm going to call like a deep over route on this B receiver. And you see how this is cover 6. You see how that soft spot defender just chases him? So that's the game. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get defenders to chase routes, and then you're just going to run a route right behind them. So again, boom, you know they're in cover 6, so you force this man to just chase this post. And the reason he does this is because, boom, if we pause it right here, when he starts chasing this, there's no one on his side, so he just thinks that he's free to go. But then we just run a route right behind him. And, it's going to happen again. It's going to be time and time again very consistently. So it's like you can call just a mesh concept, force this man to just chase his post, and then we just run a drag right behind him, right? So it's like, now, cover 6 certainly isn't the only match coverage that you're going to ever play against. But it's a lot of the same concepts, right? It's trying to force defenders to leave their spots, and then you're just going to attack them, with that. Now, like I said, mesh concept, so if you put your tight end and your slot receiver on a drag, that's going to be pretty good too, because you're also kind of able to see the same thing on the left side, where that quarter flat defender, he kind of bumps inside, and so that just forces that, like, you see how he's kind of running inside to defend this, and so then we just run a drag, where he kind of just loses his outside leverage, and so then we're just able to check this ball down underneath and turn that into a pretty big gain. So, not like, they might use her this, right? They might use her this route, and so then you still have this on the other side of the field for an easy pickup. But also, it's like match coverage is zone coverage, starts out to zone, then turns into man. So if you really wanted to, this soft squad defender is still going to be late matching onto this. So like, that's still an open pass. You can still hit that crosser. Even though he's going to chase it, he's going to be a little bit late recognizing it a lot of the time. Unless they have super high zone coverage, super high awareness, right? It's going to be hard for them to, they're going to be late on everything. They're just going to be one step behind, and you're going to be able to freeform that pass out in front of the receiver and turn that into a big gain. Really, the big no-nos for beating match coverage is calling like corner routes. Like, this is what match coverage is designed to beat, right? So if you were to call a corner route to the boundary side, the inside quarter is just going to match onto it because he has a lot of room out there to defend it. Like, you're giving him a lot of space to not only recognize it, but then actually latch onto it. So really, you're not trying to do that. You do not want to be calling corner routes, but now we have a little bit of a different match coverage, cover 3 match. And honestly, if they're going to run cover 3 match, I honestly would attack it in a lot, like cover 3 match specifically. I'm going to attack it in a lot of the same ways that I'm just going to attack regular cover 3. So we might call a route concept like this. We're going to see how they match onto this. They kind of do a decent job right there, right? But you're still going to utilize pocket presence, which I'm going to tell you guys about here in a second. But you have to have good pocket presence. You have to continue to step up so that you can still find guys open down the field. You see how that crosser's open to Y? And then I have the greatest pocket of all time. We slide down the open field. But it's like when they're running match coverage, guys, all that you have to do is identify they're in match and then start to call plays that you know can actually beat their defense, right? So maybe a route concept like this, a mesh, and then an over, right? And you're just going to step up in the pocket, and we're still going to have that pass open over the top, if he doesn't bump into that man. So really beating match coverage, a lot of the same stuff as beating regular zone coverage, except for these guys are going to pretty much spots in a lot of cases, and so you're just trying to force them to commit to one thing, knowing they're going to commit to it, and then just bait them by running a route right behind their head into the spot that man left, kind of like you saw there from cover 6. But really, that's how to go about beating match coverage. Don't utilize corner routes and that type of stuff. That's what match coverage is good at defending. Instead, use mesh concepts and force them to chase routes down the field. Alright, so for those of y'all that stayed to the end, this is the most important tip for offense, right? If you can't maintain good pocket presence, step up in the pocket, your passes are going to be inaccurate, and you're going to be raging, blaming the game when it's really your fault. Let me show you how to improve your pocket presence and why it's so important. Alright, so the great thing about pocket presence is it doesn't matter the play, it doesn't matter the playbook, doesn't even matter the formation that you're running. Anytime you're passing the ball, you need to do this on every single pass play. Not kidding, because what you're going to notice is we're going to call a route concept like this. We're going to put him on a streak, put him on a drag. So you're going to see we're just going to have our crosser right here wide open, right? So boom, we take the snap, step up in the pocket, and we just have that crosser wide open right there in the middle of the field. Easy completion, right? But what you're going to notice, I had good pocket presence right there. I canceled my drop back. So I took the snap, canceled my drop back, and now I'm stepping up, and then I just deliver the pass on time and on target, right? But we're going to call this same route concept, right? And we're going to actually have them, they're going to be running the same defense, right? So again, it's going to be the same thing. And what you're going to notice this time is I'm going to drift really far back. And now when I go to throw this pass, is it still open? But it's not open in the same spot. Right now, I just run out of bounds instead of picking up, a lot more yards, right? Because I would have caught it in the middle of the field. It's just a late read, right? So that's really the issue that I have with that, is it's just a late read. So right here, same thing, drift too far back, and now you see it's a red pass, and now you also see I get hit before I throw. right? Versus if they, especially when they blitz you, you need to get rid of the ball on time. So really, pocket presence allows you to play in rhythm, play on time. You see right there where, I mean, that easily could have been a third a sack pick. And that's something that happens to a lot of you guys, but a lot of times it's just because you're not getting rid of the ball quick enough, and you're not getting rid of the ball quick enough because you don't have good pocket presence. So again, all you need to do, call whatever route concept you're going to call, and then you make your read. Cancel the drop back, step up, you feel the pressure, and so now I get rid of the ball to my drag, and I'm able to cut it up and pick up like 30 yards on a drag because I threw it on time. If I continue to drift back on that play, I wouldn't be able to hit that pass on time, and it probably, I mean, it would have been intercepted probably, right? And so that's really the biggest thing that I'm trying to, get into you guys' head here, is that you have to cancel your dropback. And how you're going to do that is you're going to take the snap by pressing A on Xbox, X on PlayStation, then you're going to flick the left stick up. So L3 on PlayStation, you're going to baby tap it up. Boom, you're going to see they're going to blitz us here, and that's another thing right there. My lineman number 50 just decided not to touch anyone, but instead of taking a 15-yard sack because I'm drifting too far back, that sack was only for 4 or 5 yards, and so now we're still not in a horrible situation even though we took a bad sack, but it really wasn't as bad as it could have been. Right, versus what you guys are doing, right, is taking snaps, drifting all the way back, even though you have people open on the sideline, but now it's 2nd and 28. 2nd and 28, you really shouldn't be able to come back from that. Like, they should be able to get you off the field, but on 2nd and 15, you're still in a pretty good spot, especially with how easy offense is in this game to pick up yards. So again, boom, take it, you see the pressure. Also, you see I'm moving around in the pocket, so it's not just that I'm stepping straight up, it's that I'm moving in the pocket based on where my blockers are, right? So I'm going to take the snap right here. I feel the pressure off this right side, see my running back steps up, but I low-key want to kind of get away from that because I know my running back isn't going to hold up for that long, so I drift a little bit up into the left right here, and then eventually I know my time, like there's a timer in your head where they're about to shed you probably, so now you just take off and slide down in the open field, right? And so that's really what it is. Pocket presence, canceling that drop back, moving around in the pocket and really just finding space to be able to hit your reads. But you're going to ask BLT, what's the best way to improve my pocket presence? It's just to get in practice mode, put the ball at the 1 yard line. If you're drifting too far back, you're going to get a safety every time. And so that's going to build that muscle memory of, hey, I can't drift too far back, right? I can't drift out of the back of the end zone. I'm not going to take safeties. I'm not going to take sacks. And so I'm really just going to work on my pocket presence by doing this. By taking the snap, flicking that left stick up, moving around in the pocket, taking off when you have lanes, and then sliding down in the open field. So that's really what pocket presence is. You need to take the snap, cancel your drop back by flicking the left stick up, and then hit your read so that you can play on time and on target. Alright, so if you found any of those 5 offensive tricks helpful here in CFB 26, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. I break down offensive tips and tricks just like this every single day on CFB 26, and you don't want to miss out on any of the content I have. But again, if you want all 5 of these tips in written form to save on your phone during gameplay so you never have to go surfing through videos and you always have these tips at your fingertips, go to the link down below in the pinned comment. You can join CFB University where you're going to get premium access to me in Discord as well, and your first month's only going to be $1. What are you thinking? Join CFB University today. But if you want to see 5 defensive tips here in College Football 26, check out this video right here. I'll see you over there. Peace.